Welcome back to my podcast, Slugs, Bugs and Dirty Rugs, episode 5. Today we're going to be looking at how I tried to find a way out of the situation. In the last episode we looked at how I struggled to come to terms with things, but I managed to settle into the life that I was seemingly meant to live, and how I found a new place to stay, and some hardcore type living situations, shall we say. This episode though, we're going to be discussing about how I've tried to finally find a way out, because I was kind of fed up of just going through the motions every day. I needed to actively look for something and try and help myself, I guess. I did mention how I started to smoke around this time as well, and it was just to help me cope with how things were, and I didn't really care about myself anymore. But now we're going on to, it had been mentioned that perhaps I should go to the council, see if they could help me out. And the council's supposed to help in homeless situations. I don't know if in previous episodes I've expressed how shy I was and how I didn't know anything about how I was supposed to act, or what I was supposed to do, or how I was supposed to get out or go anywhere. I didn't know anything about anything, is basically the thing, right? So when I was kicked out of home initially, I didn't know I didn't know where to go or what to do. I think my mum was intending me to be pushed into a situation where I would have to act, I would have to do something and buck my ideas up, and I would have to do, she was trying to force me into becoming that person which she wanted, but I wasn't. But I still couldn't do it. I didn't have the wherewithal, and even 2 months into being homeless, I still didn't have the wherewithal. I was still that shy person. I still couldn't ask people for the help that I actually needed, because there was still some shame to it all, and also I didn't know who to ask or what to say. But I went round to the council one morning because I thought, right, enough is enough, and I need to see what I can do and what my options are. Is there anything? Because I thought, in my head, they'll put me on a waiting list for a house, like a council house, and I knew that there's years waiting. So I think that was one reason why I didn't get a move on with it, because I thought, what's the point? I'm not going to get anywhere out of it anyway. But I went there and I told them that I was homeless and that I didn't have anywhere to live. I was currently living on the streets and everything. And what they said to me was something along the lines of, we have a list of hotels and things that put people up in this situation, and you can see if they will put you up and sort that out with them. So they gave me a print off with a list of hotels which deal with them, and I thought, okay, right, I still don't know what I was supposed to do or what I was supposed to say to these people once, because they basically sent me away with a list of hotels, and they didn't tell me what I was supposed to tell the people at the hotels or what I was supposed to say to them. And I still didn't know. So I went along, I chose one of the names on the list that I recognised that I'd actually been in before Not a great place, to be honest with you. I've heard bad things about the owner. Anyway, but it's the only one that I knew of, and I went there, and I walked in slowly, and I spoke to the owner, and I said to him something along the lines of, the council have sent me, do you have somewhere I can stay, or something. I can't remember exactly. The fact I can't remember what I said just goes to show that what I said was very indistinct, and I probably didn't come across right, but I didn't know if they knew. I didn't know if they were aware that I might come, or whether they actually regularly put people up from the council, or if I needed to ask the council first, or if I needed to ask them to ask the council. I had no clue, and I still don't know, to be honest. So that's what happened. They basically turned me away because, and I didn't go to any other hotel after that, because that first experience wasn't the best, and I was too afraid to go to the other ones for the same results. So that was that. But one thing that did get recommended to me, and I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been, ironically, if you watch the last, or if you listen to the last episode, I told you about this couple who they woke me up in the middle of the night, and they wanted to put me up for the night, and I told them no, I won't be doing that. But they handed me a leaflet of an organisation that could help me, and I'm sure it was this leaflet. See, this is where people can do the right things. I know I kind of had a go to say that they woke me up in the middle of the night, and I wasn't too happy, and I didn't want to go with them because I didn't know who they were and everything. But instead of that, they did actually give me a leaflet, which ended up helping me. So it was an organisation which was quite new, I think, and they were set up to help people who, young people especially, who needed help, who needed to get places to live, who didn't have a place to live, who were having difficulties and things like that. So I went along and had a word with them, and they were very nice. And the first time I was there, they gave me a cup of coffee. This is how bad things were for me. They gave me a cup of coffee, and I don't drink coffee at all. I don't even drink tea, but I do not drink coffee whatsoever. And I drank it because, I guess I was cold and, thirsty probably. But they also gave me some food vouchers for this cafe around the corner from where they were, who had an agreement with them, that we could use food vouchers there. And that was like one of the best things that I've ever had. I went there, I remember I had a cheeseburger, and it was like delicious. I loved it, because having proper food is few and far between at this time. I just get scraps of food here and there, so getting an actual meal was like heaven for me. So that was brilliant. But they also tried to help me. Well, they did help me in another way. I came back, so I think they sent me away, and I came back for, I think the only reason I came back again really was because I wanted some more food vouchers. I know, you get hungry and everything, right? So I went back there and they had this offer for me to help me, and it was an offer that I'd be stupid to turn down. Basically, they had a place, like, it was like a youth hostel, and I could go there. They had a place for me to go and live there, and I'd be off the streets, and it would be brilliant, right? And so it was quite a way away from where I was, and they gave me the bus fare to go and everything, and it was going to be perfect. I was skeptical because I didn't know what I was expecting, but it was a youth hostel with a bed and everything, and I'd be stupid not to go for it, right? So I popped on the bus and I went up there. It took like an hour or something on the bus, and when I got there, the person who greeted me, obviously they knew that I was coming because they'd been told, and they took me up to my room, and they took me through this like corridor of see, this is where I'm gonna sound super ungrateful, and a lot of you are probably gonna be sat there thinking, how and why has he done this? That is just stupid and everything, right? So I wasn't used to this way of life. I didn't know many people kind of this type of people. They're young people and they clearly got issues. I remember walking through the corridor and one girl just sort of lay slumped in a chair, kind of staring into space, and I was thinking to myself, oh my god, what sort of place am I at? What's here? What is this? I really was not comfortable. It was so out of my comfort zone. It's unbelievable. And I was showing up to my room, and I sat on my bed for about 20 minutes. I was sat there and I was thinking to myself, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. If I stay here, I don't think I'm getting out of this place. And it's going to be like, is this going to be worse for me, even though it's better short term? Is it going to be worse for me long term? Is that how this is going to go? And I just thought, I don't want to be here at all. Really, the whole vibe of the place made me feel so uncomfortable, and I couldn't. So what I did was, and I don't regret it even now, but it will sound really ungrateful, but I went downstairs, I took my bag with me, I handed my keys in, because you were supposed to hand your keys in at the reception every time you left the building anyway, so I did that, and I walked out the door, and I walked down the street to the bus stop, and I headed back, and I never went back there again. And I was ashamed that I did that. I was really ashamed that I did that, and I couldn't go back to that organisation who had set it up for me, because I was too ashamed. I was homeless, living on the streets, sleeping on the floor or on the bench, freezing cold. They give me a place to stay, and I just walk out of it. So I was ashamed of that, and so I couldn't go back there, and I couldn't face them again because it was too embarrassing and too shameful for having done that. So I just carried on with my life, living on the street again, doing whatever it is I was doing, trying my best to survive. But one time I actually moved from this really annoyed me actually, because one thing that I haven't mentioned is that quite often, because I was spending a lot of time on the streets and I was walking around a lot, I got a lot of attention from the police. I wasn't doing anything wrong at all, but I got a lot of attention because I probably looked a little bit dodgy. But one time I was sleeping. I changed my location one night. I decided to sleep in a bus stop under the shelter. It's a stupid idea because it's freezing. No matter, even if it's these bus shelters are designed to be cold. You know, they're designed to have like air flowing through them. It's not a good place to sleep if that's what you're trying to do. So also the seating is not very comfortable at all. Anyway, I was trying to sleep there one night. I don't think I did sleep very much, but it was about 4 or 5 in the morning, and I was just sat there on the bus stop, and this police car drove past me, and I saw it stop just up the way, and I thought, oh god, they're actually coming for me. You know, I haven't done anything wrong, I'm just sitting here. And yeah, they came over to me, and one of them was a policewoman. Again, I know this is like a gender thing, but I tend to think that women should have a bit more maternal instinct or be nicer than the men. Anyway, they came up to me and they asked me all these questions about why I was there, where I used to live, you know, what my name was and everything, and why I was there. I told them that I was homeless, I'd been kicked out of home. This is a situation where I thought it was a good idea not to shy away from it and actually tell the truth about what I was doing, because these people are in a position to offer advice, right? I've never been so disappointed in the police in all my life. They asked me all these questions, very personal, very invasive. I did not hold back in my answers. I was very open, and then they just said, okay, no problem, carry on. And I was thinking, you're not going to help. You know, I was 20 years old, right? But I probably looked a bit younger, so I was kind of hoping to play on that. And they didn't think to say, look, okay, look, we got these options. You could go here, you could go here, you could go here. It's never nice to see young people living on the streets, or anybody living on the streets for that matter. But, you know, you see a young person on the street and you surely there's something inside you must think, I need to help him. But no, they didn't. They just said, okay then, fair enough, basically. And I was like, okay, just carry on. Go carry on then, bloody freezing. Okay. Anyway, yeah, so that's how we tried to get out of the situation we were in, but I say we, I mean me. But nothing was changing, nothing, no. In the next episode, it's episode 6, the final chapter, and we're going to find out how I got out of the situation and how I felt about it afterwards, and the aftermath of getting out of the situation, what happened next. Because a lot of people, after the book finished, they had questions about what actually happened next after that. So I'm going to answer those questions because I think it's quite interesting and you will be quite surprised. So please join me again next week for the final chapter episode. And thank you all so much for joining me on this episode. Until next time, have a good one.